maybe it does mean. Maybe it might.
Right.
Maybe it might.
This fight is so close, they're so closely knitted that you got to look for all the small pieces because the small things are what going to add up to somebody winning the fight.
And fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career.
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody.
But skill for skill, as far as equality, to me, Bud and Canelo are equal because we're in their career.
The thing I like about Teo's style, I mean, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just a guy who's going to hug you, he can box, you know? The easiest thing in the world is just to pick him against everybody.
Right. Yes.
But Teo also has the kind of footwork, Malik, where he steps around guys.
Roy Jones Jr. and Max Kellerman debate Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez, focusing on mindset, courage, and ambition. Both legends agree that true champions don't shy away from challenges, they fight anyone, anytime, regardless of size, reputation, or risk. Max breaks the matchup down by saying Shakur has more to lose, while Teofimo has everything to gain if he delivers a decisive win on boxing's biggest competitive stage.
Fighter. He's seen as the eventual pound-for-pound champ, potentially. Yes. But Teo has more to win. He has more to gain. So on the one hand, is there an advantage there where Shakur is fighting to protect that perfect record, to protect that kind of sense that he's the next guy? On the other hand, Teo is like he can fight with more abandon against Shakur because there's so much for him to gain. And if he loses, he's lost before. He lost to Kambosos, and he came back from that. But oh my God, if he can pull it off. Like, if it's a close fight and Teo could keep it close and we're going into the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds, is there an advantage there, given that situation?
He came back from that Kambosos fight, but in some way, the jury is still out on Teo a little bit because I'm going to tell you what, on that card that was done in Times Square, he looked the best out of, with all due respect, out of...
Roy Jones Jr. compares the matchup to Canelo versus Terence Crawford, where power is evenly matched. But Shakur versus Teofimo is different. It's a pure skill-for-skill battle, one that will be decided by technique, timing, and ring IQ rather than raw strength.
Fight is skill for skill, as good as this fight. But they just haven't been around long enough to prove themselves yet. But skill for skill, as far as equality, to me, Bud and Canelo are equal because we're in their career, because how accomplished they are. These two guys are also equal when they're in their career, because they're accomplished, but not as accomplished as these two, but they're still equal accomplished. You understand me? So those are two good damn...
Max Kellerman praises Teofimo Lopez's footwork, pointing out how smoothly he moves around opponents. Teofimo creates angles, controls distance, and slips past fighters with smart positioning, sharp awareness, and intelligent ring movement that keeps him one step ahead.
That's the way I see it. I don't think that was the best version of Teo by a long shot. But even then, he was rallying in that fight late. He has championship heart. And the thing I like about Teo's style, I mean, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just a guy who's going to hug you, he can box, you know? The easiest thing in the world is just to pick him against everybody.
Right. Yes.
But Teo also has the kind of footwork, Malik, where he steps around guys. And I think about Buddy McGirt, Meldrick Taylor.
Yes.
Roy, you know, where Meldrick had quick enough feet where if you were going to come right at Buddy McGirt, he could box you. But Meldrick could give him angles that were more difficult. I think of Roy...
Teofimo Lopez enters this fight confident and prepared. He believes boxing is a mental game as much as a physical one. Through repetition, discipline, focus, and muscle memory, he's built the mindset needed to perform at his highest level on fight night.
With the audience, are you mentally going to be prepared with the certain punch selection? There's things that I have to maintain as well. Those are things that I have to work on within myself. It's a muscle. I think of it like condiments, right? You got your ketchup, you got your mustard, you got all these type of condiments, but you don't know if you like it or not unless you try it. And I think the same thing applies when it comes to getting prepared for certain things like this. Pretty much you have to try different things, different steps, different routines, different ways to see what really fits and works for you. And if they all fit and work for you, when is the right time to apply them? And it's a muscle memory that you have to create now. If you don't create now, it can harm you the day of the fight. The mentality part of it is gonna really be the key key moment for who wins that night. I'm that type of person, truly, that type of person that focuses on.
Meanwhile, Shakur Stevenson remains fully locked in at training camp. He's giving his best effort every single day, sharpening his skills, refining his movement, and preparing both mentally and physically for one of the toughest challenges of his career.
That chest, it's coming, it's coming.
That was 9 rounds of sparring. I ain't gonna tell y'all the minutes, but yeah, I'm preparing to my fullest. I'm putting in a lot of work and getting ready. Sure. Training with Shakur is amazing. A guy like me been knowing Shakur for over 10 years now. The boxing world know that we brothers and we'll never fight each other. And just being around him in his camp, man, it's nothing but positive energy. And everybody wanting to be great. He's like my big brother, man. Like, he is my big brother, honestly. You know, he got all the wisdom in the world, especially when it comes to defense. So he's just making sure I stay sharp on my defense and not getting hit.
Post-weight emphasizes that this fight is a massive win for boxing. Both fighters had other options, but choosing to face each other creates something special. High-stakes matchups like this open the door to even bigger fights, and even the fighter who loses can gain valuable exposure and experience.
Don't realize about making best versus best fights. For the most part, only good can come from this. I'm going to knock on wood when I say that, because I don't want to have one of these fights where we get a stinker performance or anybody. But when the pressure is this high, when the stakes are this high, and you get this kind of opportunity, it will compound interest, even sometimes for the loser as well. This is why you look at MMA and you look at the UFC, and they have guys with 10 losses, 5 losses, 12. Some people that you would never think are going to compete for a championship, and maybe they don't even compete for a championship, but they're in interesting fights that people want to watch. Doing fights like this makes Teofimo Lopez, makes Shakur Stevenson a bigger name, and therefore...
Wade compares the matchup to MMA and the UFC, where fighters can take losses and still build strong reputations. These types of fights keep fans invested and excited. By facing elite competition, Shakur and Teofimo elevate each other's profiles, setting up future high-profile opportunities no matter the outcome.
What Teo's saying is true. Like, for him to go to the next level in his career, and for Shakur as well, they need to be tested, and they have been, especially Teo. Teo's taken some tough fights. He's beaten Lomachenko, beaten Josh Taylor, beating Noah Martin was a tough test as well. But my point is, this is how you get better, and this is why it frustrates me that guys won't take tough fights until they're 25-0 sometimes. And he's talking about Shakur's lateral movement, talking about how good he is as a boxer. This is, again, win or learn, in my opinion. Not that the stakes don't matter, not that wins and losses don't matter, but how are you ever going to really show your talent level if you aren't competing with the best? And Shakur has the same opportunity. This is Shakur's toughest test, no doubt about it. The Williams-Zepeda fight was a tough test because of the style of fight that Zepeda brings. But
Sean Porter confidently says, Shakur is going to be Shakur. On fight night, you never know which version will show up, Shakur or Teofimo, but one thing is guaranteed: Shakur brings his own style, skill, and intensity every time he steps into the ring. Porter reflects on Shakur's last performance, noting how he adapted, took control, and even stayed in the pocket more than usual despite criticism. Willingly absorbing shots showed his confidence, discipline, and courage, proving not only his talent, but also strengthening his connection with fans.
We gonna always, Shakur gonna always be Shakur. The offense that we saw from him in his last fight was just, he knew what he had in front of him, and eventually he knew that he was going to be in a position where he could have his way with the kid who was in the ring. I'm losing his name off the top of my head.
Right, I know you're talking about. But I believe he fought that way because he started hearing all the call of him running. He started saying, you know what? Let me stay in the pocket, because he stood in the pocket a lot more than he normally stood in the pocket with that fight. You know what I'm saying?
It took some unnecessary shots.
Huh?
It took unnecessary shots.
Well, okay, right. Mm-hmm. But you see what kind of fan base he got after that too. The doubters started saying, you know what?